AI can replace doctors.
After innovation and globalization comes regulation.
Teaching coding to the doctors. We all call you Dr. Code.
Book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. You will have to get smarter and tame AI in such a way that you, along with AI, is.
Okay, so couple of years back, AI was a term just used by techies, right? Commoners have never even used that terminology. Now, all of a sudden, AI is everywhere and it's an everyday household term that is being used. Why so? Let's discuss about that.
I think all of this changed when the so-called large language models were introduced, and what it did was initially AI was definitely there. It was little more obsolete, little more background behind the screen kind of a thing. But what was the barrier was the language. If you have to interact with AI or if you have to see AI, it has to be through you write a code or you write a syntax. What large language models basically did was remove that barrier. They basically brought it to natural language. That whole communication barrier, it's like you had a friend who does not understand the language you speak. You are a Telugu, he is a Tamilian. Once you start learning Tamil and you become part of that circle, the way you can communicate with those people is completely different. So that's what the change happened, that big shift happened when large language models were introduced, and it went from there.
Correct. And at this point of time, the whole point that I want to arrive at is, why is it introduced directly into the public? I mean, is it even a good way to directly introduce to the public before even realizing all the pros and the cons and the regulation evolving along with it? Because today we see that everywhere there is an apprehension, there is a fear, there is sudden challenges that are there, unexpected uncertainties are a lot. So
again, to that point, there is lot that goes behind people who build these models or people who introduce this to the world. I think there is a lot of difference between their huge company like Google and startup like OpenAI. So Google, though Google was the one who introduced large language models way back in I think 2017 or 18. I still remember I was
19, I guess.
Year I don't remember exactly, but I still remember there was a I/O that Google did, their every year keynote speech, where Sundar Pichai was talking about the large language models, and he was just talking about we can actually give a voice to a paper plane, we can give a voice to a moon, we can make moon talk to you, and so on. That time people observed that, they thought it was profound, but only once it was released to the public to be used, which ChatGPT did, that's where everything started changing. I know there should be regulations, there are a lot of wrongdoings that happened, misusage of AI that happened, but only if it is introduced in a certain way, you will be able to get that feedback. Or else it would have still been in research and we would have not seen this progress.
It's more like everyone is experimenting, everyone is coming up with their own observations, and together we are evolving. And that's how we are finding the use cases, that's how we are finding the wrong side of it, the dark side of this advancement also. And I think we now have the regulations chasing the technology.
Yeah, correct. So the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, so what he says, which is very, very important for any technology that comes into play, is you first start with innovation. Okay, whatever you do, you experiment a lot, you put your groundwork and you invent or innovate something. So that is the first step, and then it goes into globalization. Then it becomes, first when it is innovated, it is almost unreachable to 99% of the population. So that was Google, what research it was doing, the paper that they have published on LLMs and so on. But ChatGPT globalized it. And one of the things I think, though it was not mentioned in the book, but it's a pattern that you can observe in the world time and through, is after innovation and globalization comes regulation. So only when lot of people start using it, you see the where and all it can go wrong, where and all it can falter, where it can be very very dangerous. That's when regulation starts to come into
Yeah, just
picture.
to add another observation, I was reading somewhere that even though, as you mentioned, Google was the one who has actually written a paper, have come up with that, but they were apprehensive in releasing it to the public directly because they were not ready to lose the trust that the customers have on them, on the search output that they usually give. But I think someone as young as Sam Altman have more of a thought process that drives towards the globalization, like you mentioned, more on the regulation aspect, and that's why it is introduced. That's why ChatGPT has introduced using the research done by Google, and then now we have a powerful weapon how everyone is looking at.
Correct. So, and even OpenAI was into research for almost like 4 or 5 years before they did this. In this 5 years, Microsoft was one of the initial companies that invested in OpenAI, and there is a meeting in which Bill Gates actually says he when he looked at that early version of GPT 2.0, he was taken aback. So there are always people who come forward to take the risks. Google played it a little safe, I think, recently also, Sundar, which I was saying, what the space was like for them. They were ready for to release something like ChatGPT, but they were not able to. So, startups have nothing to lose, which was OpenAI in this case.
They have good risk appetite.
Yeah, and there is no board, and public listed companies have still more.
They're answerable to a lot of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, true. And now, being doctors, let us drive this discussion towards every other day, every few months, we see a headline by the tech giants saying that AI will replace doctors.
Yeah.
Earlier, it was about AI replacing jobs, AI replacing probably a software engineer's job, and we have seen a lot of jobs being lost as well. But today, because this is all about the intellectual capacity, now today everyone is saying that AI can replace doctors. And when I go and talk to these medical students, budding doctors of tomorrow, the discussions that I am having nowadays, I find a lot of fear amongst them. A fear of the future doctors, that do I even have to develop my own skill? Will I get replaced eventually? That bothers me. Where I feel that I think the literacy on the AI literacy, what we call, should also grow at the same time, and now that cannot be just limited to the techies alone.
Absolutely. So on that also, I think before we get to will it replace doctors or any jobs for that matter, the way we look at AI, when it is being looked at something as a very super powerful, complicated thing that is a silver bullet or answer to every question that humankind ever had, it is little tricky to look at it that way. In a lot of instances, AI is still pretty dumb. So imagine, I would like to, at least from the health point of view, would like to look at it in a way where what would be the departments of microbiology and pathology which are very very crucial for diagnostic medicine as of now without the invention of microscope, right? So the invention of microscope and multiple microscopy in terms of a diagnostic process kicked in these departments. What would have been radiology if x-rays were never invented? That would have never existed as a department. Correct. So I can see the shift that can happen where it becomes one of the core subjects of how you learn about medicine, maybe in MBBS or BDS or any other allied courses, and it is taught in that fashion, and there will also be specialization in that. I'm just thinking that there will be a day where there will be a proper post-graduation or graduation just with
but for
AI
now,
in healthcare.
Today there is already optional course offered by a few medical colleges. Yeah. Interestingly, we were discussing the other day about some private medical colleges which are teaching coding to the doctors, On one side, there is too much of syllabus and huge curriculum for the doctors, and on the other side, we are also introducing and teaching them coding.
Yeah.
Forget about financial literacy and business management, which a doctor eventually have to develop. We learnt it the hard way when we started on serious. That is also happening parallelly, but at the same time, uh, colleges are now feeling that, some colleges are now feeling that coding must be taught to the doctors. Now that's what I find a little bit tricky, because when I say AI literacy needs to be improved, it should be a more about understanding how it works, understanding the intricacies of when a doctor should be using it. They should be endorsing something like that. But it cannot be. I will also forget about my jobs. Will start coding myself, right? So
Yeah.
that fine balance. We all call you Doctor Code. So now you tell me what
So-
should be that fine balance.
Yeah, so there is a lot of fear around coders and coding being replaced, because one thing that people are still able to see right now are coding agents which write super good quality code, but a proper programmer, a well-trained programmer, or an experienced programmer for that matter, can actually see the difference. There is actually a movement going on against vibe coding. Vibe coding is that people who don't know to code or who know little of code using an AI agent to code, right? So there is a whole lot of movement going against those things. People stopping using those agents because it is not able to keep up with certain levels of programming or certain levels of complexity of how a human being thinks, or multi-tiered, multi-layered tasks. So though there will be a day where it is smart enough to even code at that level, I think than coding, what is important for doctors to understand is how to talk to machines in the most layman language. How do you talk to computers? How do you make it do what you want it to do? Coding has always been about that. If you know how to browse web, your skill is limited till knowing which web address, opening it, clicking it here and there. If you're a little more tech savvy, you know how to use applications, web applications, desktop or mobile applications very well. If you know coding, you can manipulate those. So the amount of coding was always the decisive factor of how much you can interact with computers. But the way we are coming full circle right now is the deepest level of interactions on what you can make a system or a computer or a machine do is turning into English language, or language for that matter. So that's going to change a lot. The next 5 years are going to be most crucial and most exciting also, in one sense, that how people will interact with machines, and doctors need to be taught that than writing coding, understanding how these nuances work, where they can use AI, where they should not be using AI, how they can supplement their own decision process using AI. If they have amount of data, they need not sit and churn Excels or SPSS or any other statistical softwares these days. You take 2 years to 3 years more time, there will be research grade AI agents that can just do all of your analysis. But asking the right questions, framing that right in the research language, framing that right Pico question and saying this is what exactly I want, so that the computer or the system or the model gives what they expect. That's what needs to be understood. And though it sounds very simple, it's a very niche skill, and that needs to be communicated and
Exactly, and I would like to add that it cannot be only about what AI can do better. And most of the times in the conferences that we attend also, there are some key opinion leaders who say that an AI might not be replacing a doctor, but a doctor who uses AI, who knows to use AI better, would definitely replace the doctor who doesn't use AI. Okay, these are the common statements that come around. I think the whole perspective is a little faulty in terms of why are we even talking about replacement?
Yeah.
there's so much of need already there,
Yeah.
and we are hardly able to fulfill the requirements that are out there, especially when we are talking about healthcare like this. And because the human body is basically tuned to keep moving.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
The two-legged creatures, but we are mostly having sedentary lifestyle, and we are increasing on the lifestyle diseases. The antibiotics are becoming more, the bacteria are becoming more and more resistant to antibiotics. There is a lot of growth in terms of the adversities in the healthcare as well at the same time. So why are we even thinking about replacement? Why are we not able to look at this as something that can improve our efficiency and ultimately giving a better outcome to the population? Whenever students come with this question, this is the question I ask as a counter, that if you keep fearing something, then definitely your potential is going to end there. You need to look beyond the competition. You need to look beyond yourself, what you are capable of doing something today, to what you are capable of doing something tomorrow, maybe.
Correct. So again, absolutely 100% agree on the fact that replacement is a very wrong word. In the science, the theory of evolution, so the whole concept of natural substitution, substitution is, it might look like it is another synonym for replacement, but there is a lot of depth to that concept in terms of what is substituting what. So a species of its own, when it is evolving to adapt to a newer environment, newer world, or newer any other circumstances, it gets substituted with its better self. So it's not replacement is what I look at it as. It's not like there are 1,000 doctors today, tomorrow there will be 500 doctors and 500 AI doctors. I don't think that is exact meaning of replacement. What I would want to see, or what I am sure will happen, is 1,000 doctors will get substituted with 1,000 smarter, super intelligent doctors who have the ability to now use
super
tech,
intelligence.
use tech and use AI for their advantage. So yeah, I also keep hearing this a lot in terms of doctor that uses AI will replace the doctor that don't use AI. Initially it was tech that statement was used for, but what I usually keep thinking on, and I keep telling my whoever I have this discussion with, is don't look at it in a way where who is replacing who, or who is better than who for that matter. Look at it in a way where before I get to that statement, there was a study that was done, which was actually the worrying feeling that gave me this thought. The study was about a group of doctors were given decision making tasks, and it was split into two different group of doctors, and the third system was AI alone. So the first group was doctors alone, the second group was doctor plus AI, and the third group was AI alone. The troublesome thing, or the worrying thing, the output of that study was the AI alone was better than doctors plus AI. That's what needs to be changed.
That's where the AI literacy also.
Exactly. That what needs to be changed in a way where AI plus human intelligence should always be greater than AI alone. It's no more the race about human being versus human being, or AI greater than human being, and so on. You will have to get smarter and tame AI in such a way that you, along with AI, is 10x, 100x more efficient, more intelligent than AI doing the job on its own. I think programmers will be able to understand this very, very well. Really good programmers, again, because that's where
I also understand.
I mean, that's where we can actually see programmers getting replaced with coding agents and so on. So good programmers will be able to see this, where they can actually tame it in a way where if you just give a task to an AI, build me a website, it will do a worse job than a very good seasoned programmer who can say, I want to build this. First, let's break this down into task 1, 2, 3. At task 1, I want you to do this. Task 2, I want you to do this, and 3. That is way better than somebody just saying abstract this thing. And that goes for art, that goes for coding that goes for health eventually, and that's going to be a thing.
That's where a new uh, job role has now evolved, right? Which is prompt engineering.
Yeah.
The one who can prompt AI to give better outcomes. That's the highest paying jobs, I
Yeah.
believe, right?
Yeah. So, but I would want people to take that even a step further, and just trying to use statements here and there, or changing the English here and there, and trying to make it give better answer or a different styled answer. People need to go a little beyond that. They need to become AI engineers from not from the coding standpoint, but being able to understand its capabilities on how it can do math, how it can do reasoning, how it can do thinking, how it can do access other tools across the internet, how it can access a browser, and so on, and be able to understand how to stitch this all together. That's why these days workflow systems are picking the real hype. So able to chain these multiple things together is what people need to understand beyond prompt engineering, and that goes for doctors as well. I mean, if they have to understand where will I be augmented using AI, is think about their regular clinical flow. I see the patient now. Before that, I want AI to do this. After seeing the patient, I want to dictate this to an AI so that it summarizes. The summarized report, I will again re-evaluate and see what are the care plan or what is the disposition that I have to give to the patient. So that back and forth exchange, how exactly it needs to happen, it will be a difference with every particular person, and that's where the style of how you interact with AI will be completely different from other people.
I think there also we stand at a point where we as doctors understand the we see a lot of problems, be it in a clinic or be it in a hospital setting. Our day-to-day life gives us an exposure to a lot of problems, and where there is a problem there must be a solution built at the same time. Where this solution can exactly work is something that we understand better. I think that's where I feel that the cross skilling is going to be a differentiator eventually in the world, because this as a superpower is available with everyone. It's not a techie's job alone to figure out the solutions. It is all these streams, interdisciplinary teams coming together, the problem being very much evident and realistic in front of the people. And now when we are discussing the solution, we'll be able to actually find better solution. And implementation would flow in easily. It should not be another EMR systems which has failed miserably in India. It should not be that way, that a techie builds something with the best of his capability, but doctors have just ignored it, or they have not found themselves using it because of the difficulty, or probably not being tech savvy or anything. It should, like you said, flow into the workflow of the doctors. That's where it comes in this picture.
Exactly. And going EMR is a whole different discussion.
That's for another conversation.
Yeah, totally. It would take its own sweet time to discover why, or if EMRs failed in India, and if they failed, why did they do that? That will be an interesting conversation to have. But I think we can circle back to one of the points you said and end on a note that
I have one more statement to make after you finish.
Okay. So yeah, from my side, I think it's if anybody who is listening to this from that curiosity, okay, give me one blanket answer. Should we be threatened by AI or no? My single answer would be, don't be threatened by it. Just be excited by what are the capabilities. There are like hundreds or thousands of problems in healthcare that are yet to be solved. We came a long way, definitely, for sure, but there are so many things that are yet to be solved, and there is a whole different world that can be unlocked within healthcare. It's not like AI will make self-sufficient healthcare, right? Where everybody is just healthy on themselves and then don't need doctors at all. I don't think that day would be very ideal, but that is not going to come for the next 100 years or so. There will be new problems, there will be new kind of challenges, there will be new diseases for that matter. Mental health, the way we look mental health with this AI coming into picture, that it will change.
Will be skewed.
Yeah, it will be changed forever from here on forward. So there will be new challenges. There are existing problems. There are now the democratization of intelligence is so widespread that I would request everyone to be excited by it, take that to their advantage, and use it as any other tool. It is, you have a stethoscope at your service, you have
I keep using this example.
yeah, you have a stethoscope at your service, you have a knee hammer at your service, you have a otoscope at your service.
Today you have AI.
AI at your service. It's as simple as that. Whereas AI is way more intelligent than your other tools, but it is still a tool at the end of
Yes,
the day.
and just to add, you're in the right track of my thought process as well. My urge is that yes, AI is very powerful today, and many people have figured out how to use them and how to make their lives easier. But I think we are at the edge of becoming extremely lazy, like what they showed in Wall-E movie. That's my fear, that we should not become lazy. It is good that we are outsourcing a lot of our day-to-day repetitive tasks to AI, because it's definitely doing a good job, but do not become overly relying on something like that. Don't become lazy. Use that and become more intelligent. You should keep learning. It should not be like one of the meme I found in YouTube, that the people are just dumb scrolling, and on the sidelines AI is learning, the machine is learning. It should not become that that kind of reality. We should also figure out, we should find more problems to solve. We should use our intelligence to see where our capabilities end and where AI capabilities begin, and find a better world where what you mentioned, the super intelligence can actually come into the picture. And that very well applies to the doctors as well, because
Absolutely.
it is not about replacement of skills or knowledge or capabilities. It is that we will not be able to process and remember too much of information at the same in the given moment. So most of the time, whatever comes to our mind, even when we are speaking today, the superficial memory is only acting in, right? Or probably our intuition is acting in. But when we are having the compute, the insights from the compute that is being made on the sidelines, and we have a system ready, and we'll be able to probably make a better decision, probably make a better conversation also.
True.
So that's where we have to head towards.
Yeah, I think this was good.
Good conversation.
Yeah, we should definitely
Yes.
do this more often.
We should.